Hello and welcome to the Discover Virginia Beach podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Trahan, your tour guide to the Virginia Beach area. If this is your first time listening, I am so glad you found this show. Each week, I publish a new interview with locals ranging from musicians, government officials, CEOs, artists, and much more. And my aim is simple. It's to help you discover, define, and then go out and do exactly what you're looking for during your next vacation, relocation, or outing to the Virginia Beach area. And if you're looking to join in on the conversation, take part in monthly giveaways, and get your hands on my custom event calendars, head on over to Facebook and send me a friend request. That's Joseph Trahan. And check out my Facebook group of nearly 50,000 fans of the Virginia Beach area. Don't worry about writing anything down. The links for each episode, along with the Facebook groups, will be in the description below and also in the show notes. All right, here's the show. Welcome back to another episode. I'm thrilled to introduce you all to my new friend and business partner and CEO, Erik Olson. Erik has had over 30 years under his belt exploring the ins and outs of discipline, leadership, and business, all while building and growing multiple unique digital marketing businesses. He's also the author of $1 Million Journey, How to Launch a Seven-Figure Business. And bonus fact, he's also a real estate investor and has been featured by Airbnb as a superhost. I am honored to discover this amazing business and impact Erik is having in our Discover Virginia Beach community, and I hope you are too. Erik, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Joe. That was a very nice intro. I appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we are so glad you're here. And I'm curious, Erik, I mean, you've done all this business here in Virginia Beach. Are you from this area originally?
No, I'm not actually. So my dad was Air Force. We bounced around to a couple of different locations when I was young, but I ended up in Northern Virginia when I was in 7th grade, stayed until I was in 12th grade. And then went to Virginia Tech, went back to the Northern Virginia area for about 6 or 9 months or so, and got a job with a company that was doing some work at these naval bases in a place called Hampton Roads and Virginia Beach. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool. I just graduated from college, and I had some friends that I had met in college that lived in Virginia Beach. It was March, and I was like, ooh, spring's right around the corner. Like, let's go to the beach. And so I picked up everything and I moved to Virginia Beach. I mean, I didn't have much at the time, but I came down here and been here ever since. But it was like it's still great, but it was really cool then. Like I ended up moving like to the ocean front, 66th Street. Went to the beach like literally every single day for a year. Got a jet ski, the whole deal. Like I did it all, man.
Oh my goodness. You went full Virginia Beach native. I love it. And especially coming from a Hokies trajectory of, career and business, it just makes sense that you landed up in Hampton Roads. And we are super glad you did. Erik, obviously the beach was very attractive and alluring for a lifestyle, but I'm curious for you, what got you to stick around and build your life and also your business here?
Yeah, very good question. Appreciate that. So, certainly being, this is home for me now, but I didn't grow up here. So coming into the area, I wanted to be as close as possible to the water. Right. And I think that's kind of like a pattern for people who move here. So literally I was like, it's cool to live on the north end, but I need to live like on the ocean side. So I got as close as possible. And then like probably more people or most people have gone through this process, I ended up moving a little bit further away as time went on, ended up in Norfolk, then Chesapeake. So I got to learn the area quite well. And that the job that I moved down here for, like that went away, and I ended up getting just another job around here. I had friends, and then I met a girl, and she grew up in Chesapeake. Ironically, she's like, I'm ready to like move whenever you are, Erik. And I'm like, I don't know, I got a lot going on here. So I just set up roots, to be honest with you. The community was great. I just had a lot of things going on here. And so I was like, I don't, The thing is, like, when you live in a place, I'm going to make the assumption that other people think this way. No matter like where I'm at, I'm always like, oh, like that grass over there is kind of green, right? I wish I lived near the mountains. There's like all these like reasons to go somewhere else, but there was never anything that like pulled me away, and there's still not. There's nowhere where I'm like, it's burning inside me. I got to move somewhere else. So, I came to the realization that like, I mean, certainly home is where you're at, and home is where you make it. But like this area is really freaking nice. Like we used to go to the Eastern Shore like a lot. Like when I would go to the beach, I would go to Kipta Peak State Park on the Eastern Shore. Like that was the beach for us. We wouldn't go to like the Virginia Beach oceanfront, or we'd go to like Chicks Beach.
Yeah.
But like I've been all around here. Like I know the area like very, very, very well at this point. And there's just no other place where I'd be like nothing is taking me away from here, put it that way. And what's here is pretty damn cool, actually.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Neither could my 7-month-old. If you picked up on the microphone, we were hanging out from home today. But Erik, there's this theme that I really love and resonate with. And a lot of our audience members do too, that aren't necessarily local to Virginia Beach, but we feel like locals and we love the area and we like the amenities that it offers. I'm curious for you, Erik, during your time after Hokies, in between Hampton Roads and, meeting, the love of your life, were there any people or places that really influenced and kind of helped you navigate where you wanted to go next in your career and also in your life?
Yeah, so I ended up in doing software development. So for about 15 years, I was, but before I did what I'm doing now with Array Digital and digital marketing, I was doing software development. So I was the guy that would code, and I started to kind of like, like when I got into business for myself, I realized that I was lacking a lot. I didn't know a lot about business, and I didn't know the community. And so, that I intentionally kind of injected myself into different organizations. One of them was the Project Management Institute. I was a project manager forever. I'd always kind of gone back and forth between project management and whatever technical I was doing at the time, like coding. And so I became like a full-time project manager. I got my PMP, which is the professional or the project management professional certification. And I started to hang out in that community. And because of that, I got more exposure to more people. I became the president of the organization. At some point, I did that for about a year. But I just kept bumping into like more and more business people. And like one connection leads to another. But I kind of intentionally inserted myself into that world. There was back in the day, there was Inside Business is now just an email newsletter, but it used to actually be like a newspaper that was like sent to you, and I would get it in my house once a week. And I subscribed to it early on because I was like, I need to know like who's who, like what's going on in this area. I need to figure this out. So I very intentionally kind of like inserted myself and networked and took people to lunch. And little by little, just kind of like met the people that I could help, or that they could help me and provide advice. I ended up about 6 years ago, I joined this group called the Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a global organization, but they have local chapters, and there's a local chapter here. And what they call the chapter is called Southeast Virginia. And it's about right now, it's something like 85 to 90 entrepreneurs that are all doing business. They have businesses locally that are doing $1 million or more per year. It's like getting into that group was you're around a lot of influential people that have a lot of big ideas. And so just surrounding
and they make great purchases of your book as well, right? How to scale to $1 million and keep that momentum going, right?
There's another group called the EO for short, the Entrepreneurs Organization Accelerator. The Accelerator is a business that's gotten up to $250,000, and they want to get to $1 million. I'm actually a coach in that program. As a matter of fact, I've got 6 entrepreneurs that are coming here tomorrow for a monthly meeting. And so we coach them on how to, to put the pieces in place that you need to grow your business to where you want it to go. The goal is to get them to $1 million much, much faster than they could do it on their own. So it's been an interesting journey, and certainly the journey is not over. But like in the beginning, it was me searching for like a lot of advice and connections. And I've applied all those things. It's a lot of discipline. Like literally every single day, I write down my goals and what I'm going to accomplish that day, and then how many days in a row I was successful. So like yesterday was day number 54 days in a row where I accomplished all the things that I established for myself in the morning. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but like I think those are the kinds of the things that lead to success is putting yourself into situations that you're probably uncomfortable with, learning about the environment that you're inserting yourself into, figuring out kind of who's who the people are, who the players are, what the rules are, and then having the discipline to march ahead. And at some point you're kind of like, oh, whoa, I actually have something that I can now like pay it forward, to like the next group of entrepreneurs that are coming up and help them get to where they want to be faster than it took me.
Yeah. And I love that, Eric, and no need to apologize for rambling at all. I mean, that's where we get to these places where we have to really figure out and navigate. So much of my journey is fatherhood right now. You don't just become an expert at gym or an expert at parenting. It really takes coming alongside other dads and other people at the gym and working out with you to really figure out and navigate this terrain. I'm curious, are there any people that come to mind that really helped set the trajectory for where you wanted to go? Or was it just a culmination of all of those different lunches you had?
Yeah, there are definitely a couple of people that come to mind. So one of them, he owns an IT company. His name is Martin Joseph, and I've told him this story many times, and how much I appreciate what he did for me. So, and he didn't really do anything like special besides spend time with me and gave me like a piece of advice that was like, like it, that, you like the $1 million idea. It was kind of like that. Like, it was, I met him through the Entrepreneurs Organization, and I invited him to lunch. My office was in downtown Norfolk on Granby Street at the time, and we walked to lunch. We were talking the whole time, and at the time, I was doing just projects. I was doing all project work for software development. So we would get hired, we would build a website, we would deliver it, and then like I would never hear from the client again. And his model was completely different. His model is recurring revenue as an IT company. So like they'll come in and they'll be like, all right, here's what we think you're going to need for the year as far as support goes, and it's going to be this much per month. And every single month they provide the same services for the same amount of money. It's recurring revenue.
Which is a very, very different model than what a lot of people may be used to, as I clock in, I do this work, and I clock out, right?
Totally different. Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, like there's a lot of positives to it. On the business side, number one, you establish a relationship one time with a client, and then you're servicing them, and their industry and their relationship very well. But you're providing valuable services over time, and they're paying you like every month for the set amount of services.
Right.
From their perspective, it's also a win because no one wants to get sold, right? So like if they're constantly being sold by you, that's a problem. What they want is basically to have like that conversation once and then work with you over time, right? Like that's literally like when I hire someone, I don't want to be sold by them. If every time they call me, they're selling me something, like I don't really trust them. I used to have a stockbroker way back in the day. They used to call us stockbrokers. Now they're called financial advisors, right? But every time he called, and I mean, every time he called me, he was like, yo, Eric, I know that position that we got you into. Like, yeah, you made some money. Let's sell it. Cool. All right, go ahead, Michael, sell it. The next conversation was, hey, I think you should buy this other thing. Every single time it was a transaction. And guess what? I didn't really trust him after a while. So yeah, as a customer, as a client, you don't want that from a relationship. You want to work with the person and trust them over and over and over again. So that's the backstory.
I love that. I love that. And especially too, because when you think of the marketing landscape, it's about building that relationship as opposed to,
Yeah,
sales,
relationships incredibly
which has its
important.
place. But yeah, after you've built that relationship.
Yeah. So at lunch, I was like, "Hey, how much recurring business or recurring revenue do you do versus projects?" And he explained everything. He was basically 100% recurring revenue. I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." And I asked him a bunch of questions. And then after lunch, we're walking back to my office, and he stops. We're talking and walking on Granby Street, and he stops me like on the sidewalk, and he turns to me and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and
Very
he goes,
father like.
"Eric." Yeah, it was very, yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, "Eric, you got to figure out recurring revenue. It will change your life." I was like, "Oh, wow. All right." So, uh, he went back to his office, and I went back to the shop. And for the next couple weeks or months, I worked on it because it's very weird. It's not like a normal model for web development. With web development, you build something, a website, you deliver it, right? It's
You
a
sell it.
project.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
do we turn that into recurring service? Well, I figured it out, and a lot of trial and error, but like we built up our recurring revenue, and it changed the business. And when it changed the business, it changed my life, because like all of a sudden I wasn't always worried about where the next kill was coming from, like, right? Because
Right,
you
right.
only eat what you kill. So even if we weren't selling a lot, like in a particular month, like we already had like a foundation that was up and running with operational people, and like it completely changed everything. And it finally, for the first time ever, gave me the ability to look into the future, right? Because one time, Kevin Daisy, who's the co-founder of Array Digital, one time him and I were talking to a CPA, and the CPA was like, he goes, "So, what do you think your revenue is going to be next year?" And I was like, "This is when we're doing projects." I was like, well, I mean, it could be twice as much, or we could be out of business. I have no freaking idea." And that was like an
Right.
honest answer. We had no way of looking into the future. But once we had recurring revenue, at that point, I could foresee it growing one client at a time. Yeah, you're going to have some pullbacks, and we set this massive goal of growing a portfolio of agencies. Well, what's now the vision? At the time it wasn't. At the time it was grow Array Digital to 100 million. Now it's a portfolio of agencies to $100 million by 2030.
No, absolutely. And I want to highlight this part because it's so easy for when you've made it past the mountaintop to glaze over it. But you said we had to figure it out and then we figured it out. But in your book, and I specifically, you kind of dive into the nitty gritty, if you will, of like the grit and the determination that it takes, because it's not an easy road. I mean, making $1 million is easier said than done, for the guy on LinkedIn that says he's got all the strategies, in his one-click funnel. But ultimately, Eric, it was this process of getting to know your area, getting to know your community, and then also leveraging. Hold on, my partner here.
All good.
And then also leveraging your audience. Leveraging your partners that you were okay to say, I didn't know the answer at that time. Like, I do need the help and the guidance to get there. I'm curious for you, especially, I mean, you're coming up, on 7-8 years when you merged Array Digital with your partner?
We just celebrated 7 years on February 20th. Yeah.
Congrats to you. I'm curious, looking back, were there any like defining obstacles that were like, once we identify this, whether that was the monthly revenue or if that was like,
Dude,
I gotta like have my goals written out on this notebook every day. Like, give us some insight into that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that process for you, because it's the underbelly of business that I quite frankly think a lot of CEOs and business owners would like to talk about, because it involves a little bit of failure. So, but I know you shared it in your book. So yeah.
Yeah. if anyone says like, they didn't stumble along the way or like they know all the secrets from the get-go, like they are absolutely lying. Like, man, it was, yeah, there were some pivotal moments for sure. So we merged in February 20th of 2017. And Kevin and I, we signed the documents on a Monday at the lawyer's office. And then we got a U-Haul and moved his office here and my office here. We had just built this out. And so like the teams came together on day number 2. And what ensued was 6 months of complete chaos. Like we had no clue who we were, what we were doing. We thought it was just a good idea, executed.
It was a startup.
It was
a startup. Yeah.
It was craziness. Like, I mean, it was very, very, very stressful for me. And I mean, if I would do it again, I would just do it a little bit better with some plans. Better plans, I would say. But our idea was we were going to come together again. I was a software developer. I built software like data intensive applications, mobile apps. So, and he was a designer. They designed websites. So I can make software basically do anything that you want, but it's going to kind of look like crap. And he could make something that looked really nice, but it was limited by the framework that he used, whether it was WordPress or something like that. They couldn't make it do anything that they wanted to. They were kind of limited. So we came together and we were going to build really nice looking and well thought out mobile applications. And we started to do that quite successfully to the point where we were hiring people. We were like, we need to get a bigger office. This is like within the first 6 months. Everything was going great. And then until like right around Thanksgiving time, people stopped calling us back. People being like prospective clients, they just started to ghost us, and then our existing projects, they have an end date. They were wrapping up. So all of a sudden, I found myself with not a lot of prospective projects and clients coming down the pipeline, and our existing projects kind of wrapping up. Thus, the revenue that went with them is wrapping up. And I had a whole stable of not cheap software developers that were working for us at the time. And I had a problem. These things were coming together and not in a good way. And so between Christmas and New Year's of 2017, I did a deep dive into our finances, and I looked at like 4 different categories of like revenue and cost and compared the two. And what I realized is that in 3 of the 4 areas, if we didn't do anything different, like if nothing changed, we would lose money. As a matter of fact, like we had to get $700,000. We had to get just to break even. We would have to go source, find, discuss, pitch, successfully win, execute, and get paid for $700,000 of custom software development in 2018. And I was just like, man, I don't even like, we don't even have like hardly any leads right now. Like, this is crazy. Like, how are we going to pull this off? We're going to like shrink at best. We're going to shrink in year number 2 of our company. And it was like that for the 3 other categories where if nothing else changed, we would lose money. Except for this one category, digital marketing. Digital marketing is something we literally bolted on when we merged. We're like, hey, we want to keep helping these clients after we deliver the product. Digital marketing seems like an interesting way of doing that. People are paying for it. I don't really know why, but let's sell digital marketing. And I hired one guy who you may know. He's a realtor locally.
Yeah. Well, what's his name?
Jake Baines.
Okay. Yeah.
So before that career, he was a marketer, and he worked here, and it was one guy handling like 5 or 6 clients, and if nothing else changed, we'd be positive. And actually, like the percentage was pretty good. Like the percentage was decent, but the dollars, it just wasn't a lot of money. It was not much. So I was like, all right, there's a lot of positives here in this digital marketing thing. Let's go get more of that. So we focused in on that for a couple of reasons. One, I found it very interesting. I didn't know much about it. I didn't really understand it, to be honest with you. In 2017, I didn't really understand why clients kept paying us to do this. I didn't know if it even added value, but I knew from a business perspective, there was something there. So we ended up just like getting more and more and more and more of it. And I spent the entire like 2018 doing a super deep dive into marketing and digital marketing and reading like all the old like classic advertising books and advertising men at the time, like in the 50s and 60s, right? And like learning everything like from the beginning of this industry to the present day in digital marketing. And we ended up deciding that we were going to pivot the entire company by the end of like 2018 to digital marketing. It was a huge, massive decision. And like we had to go tell the world that we had just changed something drastic in our business. So yeah, there's been a couple of other times like that where we've made super massive, frankly, risky changes. But in that particular situation, like I knew going into it that the riskier thing to do, actually, and I mean, this is probably like a takeaway, maybe.
Yeah.
The most risky thing that we could have done is to do nothing. And I mean that because I already knew if we did nothing, we probably weren't going to make it. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they hold on to the hope that something's going to change. And they hold on it for just too long, and they'll ride it down to zero. And I was like, I'm not riding this thing down to zero. Like, this is all I got. This is plan A, and there is no plan B. So, like, this thing has to freaking work. And it required a lot of, like, beating your head against the wall and figuring out how to do X, Y, and Z. And little by little, you figure it out. But, like, yeah, I think a lot of people just have it in pride that they're just going to do what they've always done. Like, I was a software developer. And I walked away from software development because it wasn't the right move at the time. And I don't think a lot of people were willing to do that. But like, I wanted the business more than I wanted to be a software developer.
I do believe there's something there. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, us as individuals and business owners, I mean, we all have our intrinsic motivations and values that really align with who we are. I mean, in a lot of ways, who knows why we really stick around and do things. But for you guys, you really saw an opportunity for here's what we're doing and here's where it could possibly lead us, where the leading and lagging indicators. And digital marketing just had this sparkle to it that I sounds like it really caught your eye for, not giving up, but really figuring out what you're going to put the next year into. So 2018 rolls around. You guys are like, yeah, we're marrying digital marketing. It makes sense. I would love to hear from you now, kind of with the vision that you have now. I know we've been looking at the past a lot. Would you mind telling us more about your current business? And of course the names, because I know there's a couple different names. Tell us where we're at now. Let's fast forward to 2024 when we're recording this. What did Erik and the team do? Like, where do we make it out to once we started pursuing digital marketing?
Yeah. By the way, I appreciate the opportunity to share the story. Right. So thank you.
Yes, let's hear it.
Fast forward through a whole bunch of turbulence and soul searching and figuring out who we are. Array Digital is the, if you will, the parent company, the first company that we started in 2017. And we had a theory a couple years into that. We had a theory. Actually, it wasn't even a theory. Like, we were just told by like so many people, like, you need to niche. You need to niche into a particular industry or a particular discipline. It's more valuable. But we started off as a local agency. We were just helping all sorts of different kinds of people. The problem with helping out all sorts of different kinds of people is like your number one, your messaging is watered down. So as a company, like you're as a brand, period, personal brand or company, you're putting out a message to the world, and you almost gotta dumb it down because if you make it too sophisticated or cute or complicated, people don't know what the hell you're talking about. There are multiple. It
has to be your North Star. It's got to be something.
It's got to be simple,
something vibrant. Yeah.
There are times that I go to a website and I'll read what they do, and I can't figure out what their business is. I can't figure it out because they're kind of like using mumbo jumbo jargon. Like, it's got to be super freaking simple. Like, no one's going to give you the time these days and their brain power to figure out what you're trying to say. So like if you go to like Array Digital's website, we now niche, and I'll come back. I want to back up in this order. Right now we niche for law firm marketing. So law firms hire us to do their digital marketing. If you go to our homepage, arraydigital.com, it'll say up there, law firm digital marketing, or something very like clear and concise like that, like big letters.
Simple, like, when they're Google searching, right? Because
super simple.
SEO 101. It's got to be plain English. Yeah.
I mean, the SEO's got a whole different strategy with other secondary and tertiary pages, and it all builds up. But when someone looks at that, I want them to be like, oh, okay, these guys do digital marketing for law firms. Got it. Versus we help businesses around the nation with their marketing. Like, like who doesn't, right? Like,
we all help in marketing. I tagged you in a Facebook post. I'm your marketer.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like in real estate, like you probably have like a particular kind of like niche, maybe even geography. Like you probably like focus on residential, right? You could be a commercial, like there's commercial real estate agents, different niche, different.
Right.
They're speaking a different language, and they have a different skill set, frankly, right? Than like residential. You could have a particular area, Virginia Beach, Great Neck, right? There's sub markets too. And the more you get known in those particular niches, the more that you have a network effect as well, right? So if you're like, I could sell you a home in anywhere in Virginia, like I want to think of you if someone's like, I need a house in Wintergreen. If someone's like, I need a house in Wintergreen, I'm saying call Yvette. That's my Wintergreen.
I'll be there in 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely. So when we look at the trajectory of Array Digital, I did notice that you had a couple of different elements to your layout and also the way in which you service your clients. Would you mind giving us a screenshot of exactly what the customer experience could look like when folks do give you a call and are looking to expand their digital marketing and really get in touch with their folks that resonate with that messaging that isn't watered down?
Yeah. By screenshot, just to clarify, like I'm going to walk you through it.
Absolutely. Walk me through it like I'm looking to check it out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So okay. I think the scenario is if someone's like, "Hey, Eric, I think I need marketing help," right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first, the very first thing I'll ask them is like, "Who are you?" Right. As basic as that sounds, like what do you do? Now, we have 3 agencies right now that have 3 different niches. And the reason is each one of them are experts in their industry. Law firm marketing at Array Digital. Rival Digital does home services contractors, think like HVAC, electricians, plumbers. And they're like, they know that industry. And I say they because we have a whole different staff with the president and everything. They know it way more than I know it. And I've been doing that. I've been helping those kinds of clients longer, but that's all they do day in and day out. And then we have Crush Digital, which does local Virginia Beach clients. They know the Hampton Roads area and what clients around here need.
Absolutely. And fun fact for our listeners, if you haven't checked out that episode, we did have Matt from Crush on the podcast as well. So
Matt Smith is the president of Crush. So I believe strongly in putting a president in place, giving him or her the resources and all the structure that we've built up over the last 7 years, or for me personally, like running, being self-employed 15 years, like all that experience and all the processes and everything, and boom, there you go. Now here's your charter, literally a charter. Thou shalt do X, Y, and Z. Go off into the universe and make it happen. Right?
I love that. I love that. Yeah. For our naysayers who may not quite understand what led you to that conclusion, for those people that might say, doesn't that cost more money? What is your answer to them when it comes to hiring 3 different CEOs, 3 different agencies, 3 different businesses? That sounds like 3 times the headache. Why did you decide to go that route?
There's a lot of benefits, but yes, it's probably not the most efficient. Now, we do have shared overhead. As an example, like I'm shared between the 3 agencies. So not any individual agency pays my salary. Same with our financial administrator who takes care of the books, and our office administrator who takes care of all the process and the automations and everything else. So that's shared. That's the cost benefit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The three different groups is because I want those groups to be super deep in their industry. So Rival Digital was the second agency that we started. A couple things came together all at once. We had an opportunity to work with an HVAC contractor, and we launched it very, very quickly. And I had worked with HVAC. Kevin and I had worked with HVAC contractors for years, and we knew that we did well there. We didn't really know why. We just knew that we did, but we did. And so we were like, yeah, let's go form an HVAC niche digital marketing agency. That's all we're going to talk about at first. It's since expanded a little bit to home services. Within 3 months, they knew way more than we did. Just knew way more about the market. So you get like really deep, profound insight and knowledge into an industry to the point where it's like, if a lawyer comes to me, in particular, a managing partner, like the boss of a law firm,
Right.
I already know, like, within like a minute of talking to him or her, I already know what the problem is and what's going on. And then it's just a matter of like coaching them to get to the same point. But that's like all we work with day in and day out. And so you get very specialized industry knowledge very quickly as well. So that's a huge benefit. There's also the direct messaging that's pertinent. Think about like someone who runs a home services company, right? A contractor. This is a blue collar industry. The way that you speak to a blue collar executive is completely different than the way that you speak to someone who went to law school.
Yeah.
Like they almost have nothing in common, but their marketing needs are going to be quite similar. And certainly the techniques that we use to get them the marketing results are almost identical. So there's a lot of overlap, but there's also a need for personalization, customization. So yes, pros, cons.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And I appreciate you opening that up. That really, I wanted to intentionally ask you that because that really helps flow into this next question, which can be very much glazed over for a lot of folks. But now that you've really opened up this, in a lot of ways, mystery box that digital marketing is for a lot of people that might be still on the fence to giving you a call. I'm curious for you, what are the main challenges that really face the industry as a whole? And how do you as a businesses that you are a part of, how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, there's definitely some challenges. Let me kind of circle back on that in just a second, the challenges. But actually this ties in well, like to go back to like, what would we do if someone contacts us? First and foremost, what direction should I send them in as far as like our agency? And sometimes like none of us are a fit. We need to send them somewhere else. So I want to place the prospective client with the right possible solution and team, whether that's us or not, frankly. And there's many, many times that I've turned away people being like, you're not ready to make this investment. You need to go work on these other things in your business first. And then I'll help them. I'll coach them on how to get there. So then the next thing, frankly, is what are your goals? Like, what do you like? Tell me what you want out of your business. Like, are and you may be shocked, but some people like they don't want to blow up their company, right? They don't want to like become Inc. 500. No, they
sure. They just want to pay the bills and have a little bit of extra cash to go to the beach, every weekend.
Sometimes not even that. Like we have literally come across people where we're like, we don't know, like they're like, yeah, we want to hire you guys. And we're like, we don't understand why. Like there's no obvious problem. Like what are you trying to accomplish? Or like they just kind of want to like have someone post social media every once in a while, but they don't care if they get leads. And it's like, so we need to understand what their goals are, what their objectives are. And then we craft the strategy. Like now the next thing is strategy. Like, okay, what's the strategy that we can take using the the hammer and the screwdrivers that we have in our toolbox, and how can we use those tools to help them accomplish their objective.
Wait, you don't just post every day for them? That doesn't fix it? You can't just use a hammer and just post?
Here's a good example of what happens a lot of times. Client would come to an agency like us, or a marketer or a freelancer or whoever, someone that's going to do marketing for them. And they just want blogs. They want blogs. All right.
Yeah, cool. It's good. It's good for SEO. It's good for the website. You can, create a post off of it. Sure.
But a lot of times they're like, I know I'm supposed to be writing. So like, I want you to create blogs. Cool. Like, do you want this for SEO? Do you want this like for LinkedIn? Because that's going to be totally different the way you write. Is this going to be in your voice or like as the voice of the company? But also like, what's the point? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? Right? If it's just to put a check in the checkbox because you just think you need to blog, like, we'll ask the next couple questions. And you're right. Like, there's what you said, like it could be SEO, right? It could be client communications, but like take it to the next step. Like instead of just saying, yeah, we'll do blogs for you. Like what's the reason? Like, what do you want out of this? It's very important. And to your previous question that I said, I'll come back around on.
Yeah.
Okay. I see when it comes to marketing, knowing the marketing industry now, in particular, digital marketing agencies, first of all, there's no barrier to entry. And I mean, none. Like I literally started with a laptop and a cell phone and my dining room table. That was it. I didn't need permission from anyone. I didn't need to go to school. I didn't need any licenses. There's no barriers to entry. With pros and cons. Now, pros, anyone can do it. Super talented people can do it. Cons, anyone can do it. Not super talented people. And there's a movement now to outsource everything in a digital marketing agency. And I mean everything, so that the owner is sipping Mai Tais on a beach and they don't want to deal with the business. I have seen in these like agency Facebook groups and whatnot, where people have outsourced their SEO to some company. They've outsourced their advertising. This is for like a client will pay them money to do like their website or their SEO. And then they will outsource the work and completely have no idea how it works. So they want to outsource all of their operations. They outsource their sales. I've even had people say, I've done all of that. Now I want to outsource my customer service, the people that are like talking to your client. You want to outsource that too. And it's like, and I'm not talking about like hiring an employee and building a team. I'm talking about literally send it over to the Philippines or wherever. Yeah. I don't want to deal with it. And it just becomes a sales machine. They're just selling. They're selling and then just trying to keep ahead of the
back to the stockbroker. Hey, are you ready to do blogs? Are you ready to do Instagram? Are you ready to figure out TikTok? Yeah.
And it's a problem. It's a problem for the industry. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, like 95%, I would say, of agencies are just like, they don't care. Like they're just selling. And you probably feel that when you go on to a place like Instagram or Facebook. Like half the time when an ad comes up is someone like for me, since I deal with a lot of law firms, like
I'm sure you see a lot of those. Yeah.
I see a lot of law firm ads, and it's like lawyers, do you want to double your MVA caseload? And it's, I hate to like stereotype, but it's like,
no, that's good. I'm going to use that bit for the first part of the interview. We're going to start there, and we're going to cater the whole episode of lawyers.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm an expert in blah, 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 blah. And the guy's like 20 years old. You're like, I don't know. I'm a little confused here.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, especially as you get into the specifics of the industry, it becomes apparent the longer you're in, the challenges that it faces as a whole, which I really appreciate you diving into that, because many folks in this podcast they're tourists, they're locals, they are maybe interested in business and entrepreneurship. So we have a whole slew of folks that are listening. And one of the main reasons why we want to have you on, Erik, is because of this aspect of customer service and this aspect of intentionality, because in a lot of ways, you are a small business, you are a local business. And I mean that with the utmost respect, because you're not outsourcing to all these different places, which is fine. I mean, there's a part and process. If you don't have team members locally, that's fine. But I'm curious for you, Erik, while you have been building this business, what impacts have the community played in the way in which you conduct and the way in which you've grown your business over time? Because it sounds like community is a big part, and being intentional is. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about that process and that journey that you've taken to be intentional?
Yeah, it is. Like, I mentioned before, like when I went into business, I intentionally like kind of inserted myself into the community, and I got exposed myself, if you will, right? In a good way. But certainly these connections that you make early on are very important. And if you burn a bridge, that bridge is burned for probably forever. Right. And I'm not saying like I've never like ruffled any feathers. So I have, for sure. There's definitely some people that are probably going to listen to this podcast are like, I can't believe you interviewed that jerk. But I try to do the best that I can. I try to be fair. And as time has gone on, and frankly, I've become, like more mature and learned the errors of my ways. Like I'm ruffling fewer feathers now than before, but it's very important. Like your reputation is incredibly important. So like if you screwed someone in the past, like it's going to be very hard to outrun that. Now it's a big market, a big state, big country. You can run and hide, but like if you're going to stick around, if you want to establish roots, like it's very like you have to work with these people over and over and over again. You have to be part of the community. Like you can't you can only escape so much, right?
Yeah, especially when you look at the digital world as a whole too. I mean, that is evergreen. It's always there, right?
Yeah. We wanted to involve the community as much as possible for years, and we stopped doing it during the pandemic. It didn't make sense at that point, but we were giving away a website once a year to a nonprofit. Several different reasons for doing that, but one of them, the main reason, was to give back. Like we have a skill, we can help people, we can help nonprofits, and so we would build a free website and then host it for free for a year. We love doing that.
That's so cool.
We're probably going to do it for Crush Digital real soon. In particular, in the health and wellness, we're starting to get a lot of health and wellness clients there. Just yesterday, we were talking about doing something like somehow maybe helping out like the Special Olympics would be like a really cool like nonprofit to help with something along the fitness health.
Yeah. Fun fact: we've also had them on the podcast as well. So if you need a warm introduction, just let me know.
You? Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
They're a great organization. Yeah, we loved featuring them, but it's not published yet, but it is in the queue for season 2.
Oh, great. That's excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, because I don't know anyone over there. I just know of the organization. I've known about it for years. So like, I want to do something. Like we want to do something. Like we live in this community. We have to. Again, you want to get along with people. Like, all right, here's an example. There was someone that works for me who had a little bit of a run-in with someone in the community. I wasn't involved, but I heard about it. And I said, hey, look, we want to be seen. Like, look, all things being equal, we don't want to be known as jerks that will do anything like for money and like stab people in the back. Like, I don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person, right? Like, that's not cool. Like, you don't want to be that person in life. We want to be known as upstanding citizens that care about the community. That's what's important, right? Yes, other things are important too, but like that's important. I do want to be seen as a pillar of the community. Like that's a good thing. It's not like an ego thing. I would like to help more people. I haven't exactly figured out how to do that. We're still kind of like working out things like, do we want to volunteer the whole company like one day a year or two? We'll be doing something like at Crush, by the way, Crush Digital is trycrush.com. Little URL drop there.
Absolutely. All the links in the show notes down below. Absolutely. Shout it out, Erik.
I am a marketer, so I got to drop that in every once in a while.
Of course.
But we have, actually, I think we already have the website, crushcares.com. There's nothing there, but the intention is we're going to set up some sort of like philanthropy. Probably not like 501c3, not that far, not yet, but like
sure. Sure.
We want to have something that we put into place, even for our brand new agency. It's only been around for 5 months, where we're doing something for the community at large.
I love that. That's incredible. And especially just seeking out those opportunities as well. And that's one of our personal convictions here at the Discover Virginia Beach podcast, is to really highlight what's going on in the community so that locals and tourists alike can discover, go out and define what it is they want to do, and to go out and do it. And with that said, Erik, I know you have a full afternoon ahead of you, so I want to be respectful of your time. We want to roll out the red carpet for you. But before we do that, we have on this show a very fun section, the rapid fire question section.
All right.
These questions are quick and fast. If you get through these, you get an opportunity to roll out the red carpet for your business and feature anything else you want to cover. Sound fair enough?
Sounds like fun.
Love it. Love it. All righty. First question. I know you are an avid gym goer as well as Matt. So I'm curious, what is your favorite cheat meal or snack that you like to go to?
Man, I have in the last like 6 months got like super vigilant and super clean. So that is not a good question for me right now.
Okay, but so we're talking like dark cocoa covered oatmeal balls with just protein.
Oh no, I wouldn't even eat those. Like brown rice. Like put it this way, I eat so little sugar now. Like vegetables are like, oh, it's so sweet. Yeah, chicken, rice, brown rice. Yeah. Anyways, like I could go into a whole tirade about fake food, but I will say my guilty pleasure is this stuff right here, gum. Oh God, like
oh yeah, five gum.
I will chew the crap out of this, and I'm trying to get healthy. So actually, I bought this. I researched like gum, like what gum is like, because I'm like, well, this is like going into my body, right? But like, I mean, not that I'm eating it, but like all the juice, sugar free with xylitol. It tastes like crap. I was like,
that sounds intense. Well, good for you, Erik. Good for you. All righty. When you're not working out or working on the business, where do you find yourself going the most in the Virginia Beach area? And because we are recording this during the winter season, we'll say winter season because there's two different lifestyles of Virginia Beach to cover.
Yeah, I have kind of two lives right now, to be honest with you. So like one is the workout and home life, and basically like I drive in a triangle from the house to the gym to the office to the house to the gym to the office. Like it's very predictable. And so Chesapeake, I go to One Life Fitness. Like I work out almost every morning, right? At about 7:00. So half the time it's in Chesapeake, the other half of the time it's in Norfolk at the One Life there on Monticello. My daughter lives in Norfolk now, so it's convenient for her. So I spend almost all of my time in Chesapeake and a little bit of time in downtown Norfolk. And then for the Entrepreneurs Organization events, they're usually in Virginia Beach. So I'll go down there for what seems like a little retreat because I don't go to the oceanfront that much these days. But the second life, I guess, is we have been buying some properties to short-term rent. So like Airbnb, Vrbo. And in particular, this is not part of the Hampton Roads community, but it's really close, which is Edenton, North Carolina.
Okay.
So most people have either never heard of it or like they've heard of it, but they've never been, or they've been there and they freaking love it. It's like this little like Hallmark movie kind of a town. And it's only 1 hour south of here. By the way, I lived here for like over 25 years and I had never gone to Elizabeth City. Not once. Like I see the name on the highway signs. I didn't know where it was, how far away. It's only half an hour away. Like there's some really cool towns in North Carolina. Elizabeth City is like really freaking, it's like downtown Norfolk, but scaled down, like as far as like Virginia Street, like the old.
I just Googled their tourism website. I love it. I'm going to include it in the show notes down below too, because it's an easy, fun little drive to get away. Thank you for sharing that little gym.
Yeah. Easy little day trip. It is. I would definitely check it out. Like, I mean, I'll drive 45 minutes from Chesapeake to the ocean front. All like it's nothing. Right. But I wouldn't even think about going across the state line. Like I would encourage, go check out Elizabeth City. or Edenton. Edenton is pretty cool. So
Edenton.
we have some rentals down there, and I'm involved in that.
That is so cool. Erik, what are you reading right now, if anything? Or podcasting? We'll count podcasting too.
So you know what? Like, okay, I was reading a lot for a couple of years, and then just recently I was like, I kind of need a break. So I started it and stopped a couple books. I just wasn't into it. So I'm taking a little siesta right now from reading.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. During your last season of reading, was there one that stuck out to you as like really defining that seems like been holding you over okay now that you're in the season of just work and a little bit of life and a little bit of play?
For the whole journey, like for the last 15 years, it's been like business books, self-development books, like nonstop, over and over and over again. I kept looking, trying to find the secret. This is what I refer to it as. What's the secret to business? And I've done like masterminds and like some management consulting courses that were not cheap. And I realized the secret is like back here, like this is only like part of the books. Like there's in the conference room, there's like 3 times as many books. But I think the reality is the secret is you got to learn all that stuff and do it well.
Right.
And so
it doesn't matter if you know it, you have to apply it and do it well.
Good point. Great point. Reading it doesn't mean anything. Learning it doesn't mean anything. You have to apply it. If you don't apply it, what's the point of spending time reading? So I am taking a little siesta, but I really went overboard when it came to reading those business and self-help books. But it made a big difference.
I love that, Erik, and I appreciate you sharing that. Last rapid fire question.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a book that I bought since I kind of got burned down on like business books that I can't wait. I need to crack it open. It's a non-business book, which is very unusual for me. It's Dune. I saw the movie.
Oh, that's a great read. Absolutely.
It was so good. I was like, I need to read the book.
Yeah, nothing like some fiction to really spice up life and to continue to drive that part of your brain for digital marketing. Because in a lot of ways, digital marketing is rooted in fiction. That needs a little bit of translation in the business world. But if you lose that fiction, you're just back to sales, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the imagination that goes into it, right? The creativity. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And last one for you, Erik, whenever it comes to the thing you like most or the kind of summarizing living in the Virginia Beach area, what stands out to you as really a defining trait or a feature that you want everybody to know about, regardless of whether they decide to just continue to vacation or they decide to, make that relocation to the area?
Yeah. All right. So, I think what you're asking is kind of like what do I think of is like the biggest attraction maybe.
Yeah. What do you like most about the area?
So, everyone's got an opinion about like what the name of this area should be, right? Tidewater, Hampton Roads, coastal Virginia. I don't know, the 757, even though there's another area code now that's coming in and we don't control the area code. I don't like that name. I think that's a problem. That's a big problem because I'm a marketer, right? It's branding.
Yeah. It's
right?
branding.
It's branding. And so like I've literally like had discussions with people in Northern Virginia, like when I first moved down here, or even like several years later, they're like, so Erik, where exactly is this road, Hampton Roads? And I'm like, you got to understand it's a nautical term, and no one gets it. They don't understand. Yeah. And so this is like back to like why I niched, right? The companies, the message has to be super freaking simple. As someone said before to me, like caveman simple, right? Mm-hmm. So what's simple? You look at a map and you look at a city and you're like, that's the area, right? Hampton Roads doesn't mean anything. Tidewater doesn't mean anything. Tidewater geographically like goes all the way to Richmond.
Yeah. It's very misleading. And it's hard because when people think, when they're relocating or they're planning their visit to Virginia Beach, and like there's 10 beach experiences in Virginia Beach and there's like 15 across Hampton Roads, Tidewater, Chesapeake Bay. You know what I mean? Like depending on what you want to do. It's yeah. So now because you have the solution for that now, right, Erik? So let's hear it.
I kind of sort of, but
Yes.
Okay. Here's a couple things that I would think of. Number one, it's a problem. It's a big problem. Like, and it's not going away until we really address it. And the chamber like touched on it a little while a couple years ago, but like we need to pick, right? Why are we all agree. Why are these cities fighting? Well, the cities aren't fighting. The cities actually, like when I talk to people that work like in economic development, they're like very cooperative with other cities. So
absolutely, as well as in business development as well. We're working on having some more folks on there as well. We had JP on from Carlton Construction.
Oh,
anyways,
yeah.
Check out that episode if you want to hear a little bit more behind the scenes of future guests. Yeah,
I think he was the one that connected us.
Yeah.
So so it's a problem. We need to pick a name, and it needs to stick. All right. So I said I was in Chesapeake, but if I were to say to someone, I'm in Virginia Beach, people locally be like, no, you're not. You're in Chesapeake. Who freaking cares, right? Does it matter? I'm in Virginia Beach all the time. I'm in Norfolk all the time. This is all the same area. So, like, we need to pick a city name that represents us, whether we live in that city or not. Because it's such a tight community. By the way, South Side is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The peninsula is a completely different region.
Yeah. It should
I don't know anyone over
peninsula.
there. It's a different region. Like we tried to do some events over there years ago. I didn't know any of the companies there. I didn't know any of the culture over there. I didn't know any of the people over there. It's
a different vibe. It's a different vibe. Yeah.
We can say it's the same region, but it's bullshit. It's not. It's South Side Virginia. So let's pick a city. Okay, if that's my idea, pick a city. And then the debate is, well, should it be Virginia Beach or should it be Chesapeake or should it be Norfolk? And everyone's got their opinion.
Right.
What I kind of concluded a couple of years ago is when, and by the way, I do not live in Virginia Beach. That's foreshadowing the conclusion. But a couple of years ago, Pharrell, who's from here, picked Virginia Beach and the oceanfront in particular to have something in the water. And we got national attention.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like, a lot of like things going on with that. It's here, it's not here, whatever. But like,
it's just people having opinions, which is part of living in a community. Everyone's going to have their own opinions and, we work around it and we work through it. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you think about like from the outside, what do people like, what do they want?
Yeah.
For people that don't live here, they want the freaking beach. All right. Like we had years ago, I was involved in a conference, a software development conference, and we had the same debate. Where should we hold it? And guess what? We wanted people from outside of the region to come in. So where do we hold it? We held it in Virginia Beach, as close to the water as possible, because that's what people from not here want. So we should embrace Virginia Beach. I don't live there. My office is not there. I don't care. Right? Call it Virginia Beach. Hopefully, I'm about to say something, and hopefully it's true. If you
if you change your mind, we'll edit it out later. we'll bleep it.
Yeah, please. But if you go to like location and like my Instagram or like social media, it's just say Virginia Beach. Yeah. Because just pick one. Just pick one. Go with it. Go ahead. So that's a big thing.
Same with the podcast. I mean, we've covered that. We've had the Suffolk Tourism Board.
Yeah, right.
We've had Norfolk. We've had the Portsmouth Tourism Board on as well.
There's a reason you didn't call it. Yeah. There's a reason you didn't call it Discover Hampton Roads or Coastal Virginia. No one knows that Coastal Virginia is a little better, but it's still a made-up name.
A little. Yeah. Yeah.
Most people know Virginia is like over there on the right-hand side of the country. And if you say coastal, you're kind of defining it. But still, you can't look on a map. You can't look on a map and see coastal Virginia.
Well, Erik, hopefully very soon we will be able to have Pharrell or at least someone from their organization speak out on this as well. And we'll continue to press onwards and upwards when it comes to, really unifying our community to help everyone discover what the Virginia Beach area has to offer.
The Virginia Beach area.
Erik, thank you so much for your time and also for your wisdom when it comes to the marketing world and for joining myself and my baby. But fun fact, I've been living out of my office for the past year. If you look at any of my videos, I've just been hanging out at home, living the dad life. So definitely, if you've enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and subscribe because we're here for you guys to help you discover all the area. Erik, with that said, we'd love to roll out the red carpet for you. please share any final messages or anything that you would like to feature regarding your business or your branding. The floor is all yours.
All right, I can say whatever I want. No, I won't go into too much depth. Just if you're looking for marketing, if you want to market your business, reach out to me, Erik J. Olson. I threw the J in there for branding purposes, but if you Google Erik J. Olson, you'll probably come across me. And the name of my main company is Array Digital. We have also Rival Digital and Crush Digital. So reach out to me, and I'll connect you with the right person. Again, if it's not us, we'll let you know what you need, what we think that you need, and we'll connect you with someone else.
No, just call Erik. Link will be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of the Discover Virginia Beach podcast. We really appreciate you being here, and definitely stay tuned with us on Facebook. We are on Virginia Beach Facebook group, as well as the Discover Virginia Beach Facebook group. Over 35,000 members and counting, upwards of folks looking to ask questions and discover Virginia Beach. So if you have a question, just send me a friend request, and also go ahead and hit up Erik, because like he said, even if it's not a good fit right now, you can have that conversation later. We'll see you all in another episode very soon.